Well, with me to talk about this reduced deployment of troops and President Trump's decision to authorize billions of dollars in weapons sales to America's Middle East allies is Jessie Jane Duff. She's a senior fellow with the London Center for Policy. She's also a former U.S. Marine Corps gunnery sergeant. Jessie Jane, thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
1,500 troops, not a lot when you consider all the talk from the Trump administration that Iran is such a threat, right?
Well, it's not a lot, but you have to remember the firepower that's going with it. It's not so much the number of the Marines or soldiers that'll get deployed. It's that the firepower behind these men and women that are in the aircraft, on the aircraft carrier, the bombers, and the fact that these troops are probably the best trained in the world. I think Iran knows that we're making a very strong statement that we're going to be ready, we're going to be prepared, and we're ensuring that whatever the threat is that we haven't quite defined is not going to be tolerated by the United States. You know, if you start sending over 10,000 troops, you're really sending a signal that you're starting to have a preemptive strike. It looks like you're going to start a war. It looks like you're trying to antagonize. We are trying to assure the world and the American public that we're only there in a defensive posture if anything is abruptly attacked by the Iranians or their proxies.
The Pentagon says the troops, though, will be in protection mode. Explain that. How can they protect areas of the Middle East from Iran in lower numbers?
Well, essentially, we have a great capability with our satellites. We also have a great capability with our Navy strike force. We also have great capabilities with our air cover. So it doesn't mean you necessarily have to have ground troops. A lot of people don't really appreciate that. The wars that we had experienced during World War II, we expect not to have such heavy land battles again. Because when you have the firepower that we have with some of the Tomahawk missiles or those that we can strategically strike various areas throughout the Middle East, particularly in Iran, you don't necessarily need to have to flex with the bodies or the men and women that could potentially end up on the ground. So we want to ensure that they know that we're ready to fight the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, or we're ready to take out a attack by any of the proxies, such as Hamas. And if that is the case, 900 troops is pretty powerful, because Hamas, I don't think, has any of the training that a United States Marine or a soldier has. They have never gone through what these men have done for years of their lives and perfected.
Jessie, let me ask you quickly before you go. Do you think it's dangerous for the Pentagon to send troops to stage against Iran at the expense of having troops in other hot-button areas like Syria?
Oh, no, it's not. I think we've had military personnel deployed throughout the world at any given time. Multiple countries have U.S. presence. We have U.S. presence even in Africa today that work against these various terrorist organizations that have infiltrated throughout African countries. And we've been largely invited by those countries to assist in those measures. So our troops are in many countries for very serious reasons.
Retired Gunnery Sergeant Jessie Jane Duff, thanks for being here on Clear Cut Plus.